Happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday, everyone. And salute. I hope everyone is having a blessed and productive Monday so far. Salute to Dogs Nation. Salute, salute, salute to all of my fellow Georgia Bulldog fans. Salute to you, salute. I just want to come on here and speak for a minute. A lot of people are in an uproar about the events that took place in Lexington, Kentucky Saturday night. And I just want everyone to calm down, pump your brakes, calm down and pump your brakes. There's an unwritten rule. Believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. I'm Armondo Black, and this is another segment of The Dog Call. Happy Monday, everyone. I'm Armondo Black, and this is the Dog Call Rant and Reactions. And I have plenty of to rant about, and I have something that I would like to react to. Now, UGA fans are in the uproar because of the performance on Saturday night. 13-12. For those of you that don't know, the Georgia Bulldogs escaped, and I do mean escaped a dog fight. This was an old school backyard brawl, 13-12 contest between the Kentucky Wildcats up in Lexington, Kentucky. And I just want to remind all of you Bulldog fans to just remember, for those of you that are beginning to panic, let's go back to 2021. First game of the season against Clemson. Okay. We did not score a touchdown. We did not score a touchdown at all. We had a pick six. The offense did not score, to put it like that. Plain and simple. The offense did not score. The defense had to bail us out. Let's go to 2022. Remember that year? Remember Kent State? And we barely won. I think we won by 11 points against Kent State. The polls, the people in the media were, you know, already digging our cemetery plots. Oh, they're not going to repeat. Oh, they're not the same. Oh, there's some problems with UGA. Remember the Kentucky game 2 years ago? Remember that game? Terrible conditions. Yes, the wind was blowing real hard, but that UGA team, which in my opinion and the opinion of a lot of Dogs fans, was the best offense in the history of our program. And we have a longer tradition. We have a long history, over 100 years. But that was the best offense, the best offense that that has ever stepped on the field in our program's history. But we had problems scoring against Kentucky. As a matter of fact, we only scored it toward the end of the game. But we were beating the brakes off of everybody else. That same UGA team that put up 50 on LSU, that put up 40 on Ohio State's defense, and put up 65 on TCU. Let's go back to last year when we were trailing South Carolina at halftime. Toward the end of the game, we were trailing, and then we finally took control of the game. Let's go back to last year in Jordan Hare against Auburn, where we played a terrible game. A terrible game. It was our first SEC road test. It was the first road test for Carson Beck. And in my opinion, we played worse in that game than we did Saturday night against Kentucky. And some of you may say, oh, you're crazy. Go back and watch the tape. We played terrible in that game. Okay. If it wasn't for some great catches by Brock Bowers, we're losing that game. All right. So I'm not making excuses for the performance on Saturday night. I say that to say this. We've seen this happen before. We as fans have seen this happen before. And yet we went on to win national championships the same year. We've seen this happen before last year, twice. At home against South Carolina and on the road against Auburn. And let me go back to 2022 against Missouri. So you had Kent State, Missouri, and Kentucky. And remember after the Missouri game, when we barely got out of Missouri with a win, remember what happened the following week? When the first college football rankings came out, they dropped us from 1 to 3. That was in the college football playoff rankings. But the AP still had us at number 1. But the college football polls had dropped us down to number 3 based on our performance in Missouri. So I say that to say this. Anyone that thinks that same Dawgs team that was on the field against Kentucky, that lined up against Kentucky, if you think you're going to see that same team on the 28th against Bama, you're delusional. Because history shows that after a performance like that, what we had in Kentucky, the next time we took the field against our next opponent, that next opponent paid the price. And after the Missouri game, the next opponent we had was Tennessee. And they paid the price. Or Florida, then Tennessee. They paid the price. That team went on a tear and did not look back at all. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Some of you are acting shocked, like the way things are going with the offense. There's certain things that's happening with the offense that you may as well get used to. Okay. Number one, and let's just be honest here. Carson Beck is not Stetson Bennett. He does not have the speed or the footwork in the pocket. He's not blessed with those type of skills that Stetson Bennett was blessed with to be able to extend drives. So he's going to be a sit and duck a lot. He's going to be taking more sacks than Stetson did because Stetson was able to extend drives. Stetson was able to turn a missed blocking assignment from one of the linemen into a touchdown. How many times have we seen Stetson uh, get off on a 20, 30-yard touchdown run? He did it against Auburn. He scored what, like a 17-yarder against Tennessee. He did it a couple of times against Tennessee. He was a nightmare for Tennessee. They couldn't do anything with him. They tried to blitz him and he made them pay. Carson Beck, although he has God-given talent, arm strength, accuracy, he's able to do things that Stetson wasn't able to do, and Stetson was able to do things that Carson is not able to do. Now let's talk about the deep ball. Hey, I think right about now, we understand that there was a reason. Let's go back to the UAB week in 2021. There's a reason why Kirby chose to go with Stetson over Carson Beck. You see, they are in practice with these kids. They're there with them. They see things we don't see. And I told everyone, a lot of fans were in the uproar. You had some fans that were rude at Sanford Stadium, and they were booing Stetson when he came out for warm-ups in the UAB game. And then Stetson got in and showed his skills. And what we found out that day is that Stetson can throw the deep ball very, very well. He can hit receivers in stride. That's something that Carson Beck has not yet been able to do. Yes, he's good on crossing routes. He's good on back shoulder fades. He's good in dink and dongs. But he is not the type of quarterback that can blow defenses, that can blow the top off of defenses. He just does not have that ability to hit deep passes. He has the arm strength. He can get the ball there, but he does not have that accuracy down the field like Stetson had, or like Matt Stafford had, or like Eric Zier had, or like Aaron Murray had, and Jake Fromm. He does not have that accuracy down the field. And that's something that maybe it is what it is. That's what we have, and that's what we have to work with. But to blame, to play the blame game and blame what happened Saturday night on Carson is egregious, because it was not his fault. He can't throw the ball and catch it too. He can't go back, drop back for passes and block from himself. He was not missing blocking assignments. He was not the tight ends that were missing blocking assignments. He was not the left guard that played pathetic and was missing blocking assignments. He was not one of those receivers that just couldn't hold on the ball for whatever reason on Saturday night. He was not the running backs that were missing blocks. So you can't put all the blame on him. Then you got some idiots trying to put all the blame on Kirby. For what? He's the head coach. Well, Kirby should have known. He's seen what happened in practice. Listen, let me tell you something. And I know this from experience, from playing football. There are some players that can get out there and practice and look like NFL Hall of Famers in practice. But on Saturdays, under the bright lights, they'll fold like a tent. They just in real games, real-time games, they're not the same as they are in practice. Then you have those players that were not that good in practice, but would show out in games. I had teammates like that they were terrible in practice, but something would happen to where their name was called in a game, and they had to come out and perform, and they performed well. So is it Kirby's fault? No. No, it is not. Now, the only thing that I will say is moving forward, when you're playing against teams like Bama, Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee, when you have a 4th and inches or a 4th and 1 and you're at midfield, or you're on the opponent's 45 or 40-yard line, and you got an offensive line full of 5 stars, full of great talent, and you don't want to go for it, that can be a problem, because you're coaching not to lose instead of coaching to win. That's my only thing with Kirby. That's my only thing with Kirby. I would love for Kirby to get a little bit more aggressive when it comes to those situations. But to blame what happened in Kentucky on him, no. It's not his fault. So whose fault is it? A lot of you will try to blame it on Mike Bobo. Mike Bobo is Mike Bobo fault. Mike Bobo. The same Mike Bobo that was the offensive coordinator last year, when we were averaging somewhere between 30 and 40 points a game, that Mike Bobo. You see, Mike Bobo calls the plays. He sends the plays in, but he can't call plays from the booth and go out there on the field and execute them at the same time. He can't do that. He's not a wizard. He calls the plays from the booth, and it's up to the players to execute them on the field. He can't be in the booth and on the field both at the same time. That's impossible. Now, what I would like for Mike Bobo to do is quit calling plays like it's a G-Day game. I understand we're in the NIL era, and we're in the transfer portal era, and you want to keep everybody happy, and you don't want players transferring on you. But you got to start feeding the hot hands. You're in the meat of your schedule. You got to start feeding the hot hands. And your hot hands, from what I see, is Lovett, Bale, Smith. You got to start feeding your hot hands. You got 3 tight ends. The only one that I see that has been consistent so far, in my opinion, is Lawson Lucky. The man has had the hot hand since the Clemson game, but you got to keep feeding them. You got to, it's time to form an identity. You got to form an identity now. You can't continue treating this like it's a G-Day game, because it's not anymore. You're facing multiple Heisman candidates. You're facing some elite defenses. You're facing 4 of the elite offenses in the nation: Bama, Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee. And we don't know what Florida's going to look like between now and the cocktail party. DJ Lagway may have learned the system by then. You know, I think there'll be a coaching change by then, and Florida will be probably, on the uprise by that time. So we don't know what Florida's going to look like between now and then. Georgia Tech doesn't look bad. That game looked like it's going to maybe go down to 4 quarters. It's not going to be an easy cakewalk on them because they're not the same team that they were 2 and 3 years ago. So there are some things that need to be ironed out on Mike Bobo's end, Kirby's end, Carson Beck's end. But to blame them for what happened in Kentucky, I don't blame them for what happened in Kentucky. But I tell you who I do blame. There's a one person to blame that I feel that should carry most of the responsibility of what happened in Lexington. Now, normally I don't come down on players, but hey, listen, this is a different college football world that we're in now. That we expect more out of you as fans because we're in the NIL era. So I feel like if you are getting compensated for your work on the football field, then we have the right as journalists and as social media journalists to critique your work. Now, Mr. Green, you were getting your ass handed to you all night long. The entire night, you were getting destroyed. You were getting destroyed the entire night. Darn near every play. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the film. I'm going to show a little bit of it here shortly. This man was on the field damn near all night, just getting thrown around like a rag doll. You one of the biggest defensive linemen in the nation. You are an All-American coming out of high school. And this goes back to what I was saying. Those and like my co-host D Truth on the kickoff show on Saturday morning, he says the 5 stars don't always mean that these players are going to turn out to be juggernauts. There have been times that we've seen 5 stars come through Athens and turn out to be duds. And Mr. Green, you're turning out to be that dud. Missing blocks. Something needs to change. Something needs to change. Yeah, I was happy that we got you. I was happy that you chose Georgia, but your play was terrible Saturday night. And if you don't improve, if you don't improve, you're gonna cost this team some games because you were missing some blocks that was causing a lot of problems for Carson Beck and the entire offense. And I'm about to show you exactly what I'm talking about here. Let's just take a look at this. It's a fair use. Let's just take a look at this now. Now this is Exhibit A right here. Let's take a look at this. Where are you going? What are you doing? Where are you doing? What are you doing here? You ain't touch anyone. You didn't touch anyone on that play. And the man that you supposed to been guarding, he got to the running back. Listen, you missed another block. It's like you're not knowing your assignment. This kid is not knowing his assignments. You didn't touch anybody on that play. Let's take a look at this one right here. Watch this. Watch this. Let's take a look at this play. You missed. You didn't touch it. He didn't touch anyone. Your man, you're supposed to have him. And by you missing him, look what happens. By you missing him, he comes around and he shoots that gap. And he gets the running back. That side of the line is very important. Because if you don't do your job, you don't do your assignment, you're going to throw the chemistry off on the whole offense, the entire offense. You're going to throw the chemistry off on the entire offense. So to blame Kirby and to blame Carson and to blame Mike Bobo is egregious. All of that all of you were saying, Mike Bobo this, Mike Bobo that, Mike Bobo needs to go, Mike Bobo needs to go. All of that you're saying, it sounds good. It sounds good. But in real life, a coach can only send the plays in. It's up to the players to execute. It's up to the players to execute. And I just showed you video evidence where the left guard threw the chemistry off the entire night in that game. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe they switched him up and they switched someone else over to the side, over to the left side, and that's when things improved. That's when we were able to move the ball in the second half, and we eventually scored a touchdown. Now, was that the main reason? The main reason why we only had 13, the score was 13-12? No, that wasn't the only reason, but that was one of the main reasons. If Carson Beck does not have time to look down the field and to try to find receivers, and if our running backs, time they receive the ball and there's a linebacker right in his face, what can he do? So all of this talk about, well, it's Kentucky and maybe Brock knew the plays, or maybe Dumas Johnson knew the plays, and it's really much ado about nothing. No, this isn't something that can be brushed under the rug, because this has been an issue all season. Ernest Green has been getting his ass handed to him all season, and Kirby, Mike Bobo, and whoever the Lions coach is, something needs to be done. I want to thank you all for joining me here. Hey, that's my take on everything. This has been the Dog Call. I'll be back a little later on with the Dog House. Who's going in the Dog House? Will it be multiple people, or will it only be one person? Just stay tuned to find out here on 20s Sports. Thank you all. Peace and blessings. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'm Armondo Black, and this has been the Dog Call.